What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Itadakimasu with me, your host, Chef Matthew. Today we're going to be preparing a pork gyoza, which is a Japanese dumpling, and so we're going to start out by making the filling. The filling of this is going to be a combination of pork, shiitake mushrooms, ginger, garlic, green onions, and cabbage. So to start off, we will start chopping our vegetables. We want to do a nice fine dice on all of these veggies. So with the cabbage, I'm starting with it shredded thinly so that I can just do that cross cut and have a beautiful fine mince. Boom. Cabbage. Then our green onions, we are going to want to take off any not so good looking ends, and then just a very nice fine slice on these guys. And with the green onions, we are going to want to use the green as well as the white part of the onion. So we're going to cut these all the way down to the root nubs. Boom. Root nubs can go. Now, some shiitake mushrooms that have already been nicely cleaned and destemmed. Give these a slice lengthwise, and then we're going to turn them and get our dice on. So, as far as the ginger is concerned, we're going to want to peel the ginger out. And I find that if you just take a nice thin spoon and you put one edge to the ginger and just pull downward, you will get the ginger skin peeled off while leaving all of that nice meaty root on the inside. If you try and use a peeler, it's a little more difficult because ginger knobs tend to have these odd shapes, and you can risk nicking yourself with those peelers. So with the spoon, you're not going to risk any injury while trying to get through that awkwardly shaped ginger knob. And now we've got that thing peeled off. We'll get this one going as well. So, all right, now that we've got our ginger peeled, the microplane is the best way to get this going because it just breaks it down into a very small and spreadable situation. If you don't have a microplane available, I would recommend getting one because they will be useful in multiple applications of cooking. If you don't have one and can't run out and get one, the smallest size on a cheese grater or something like that will work and be passable. But you're not going to get quite as fine of an end product with that. All right, now that we've got all of our ginger grated up, we're going to do the exact same thing with just a couple of fresh garlic cloves. Run them over that microplane. Beautiful. And with all of the vegetables chopped and ginger and garlic grated, we're gonna transfer all of that into a mixing bowl. And then we're gonna move on to the pork. So as far as the pork is concerned, you can always use ground pork. I prefer to take a cut of pork, pork chop. It's got a nice little bit of fat on it, pretty much the perfect amount of fat that you're gonna want mixed in with the meat. And I like to cut it by hand because it gives it a little bit more of a texture on the filling of the gyoza. If it's fully ground, it doesn't quite have as much of like a toothy chew to the filling. And I like a little bit more of that texture. So I'm gonna do this by hand cut. So once you get a few strips cut, we're gonna do a dice on it. And once we get the dice done, then we are going to do a mince on it. So now that we've got that dice, we are going to just mince, mince, mince. Pull it back into a pile and go again. Once you've got that all dealt with, that's gonna go straight into the mix. We are going to give this just a little bit of soy sauce. We're gonna add in the majority of the ginger that we just grated. We're gonna save maybe a half a teaspoon's worth of that ginger for our dipping sauce. And then we're gonna drop in all of that garlic that we just microplaned up. And we're gonna give this a nice, thorough mixing. Let's bring this on up. There we go. All right, once you're happy with the fact that everything has been distributed evenly in your mix, we are going to get ready to wrap these all up and create our dumplings. I'm gonna give my hands and my cutting board a cleaning and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Itadakimasu. Today we're finishing out the gyoza here from earlier. And what we're gonna do right now is we are going to create the dipping sauce for the gyoza once they're finished. We're gonna start off with that bit of ground ginger that we had saved from the filling. Throw that into a little bowl. We're gonna add in a couple of tablespoons of rice vinegar. We are going to add in about a tablespoon of soy sauce and about a tablespoon of mirin, sweet cooking sake. And we are going to let that sit with a splash of sesame oil. And we're gonna let that sit and soak while we're finishing out the rest of our gyoza process so that that ginger flavor can get absorbed and mixed in nice and well with all of the rest of those flavors. So now comes the gyoza wrapping part. You're gonna wanna find yourself a package of these round gyoza skins. Pot sticker skins is another one that are the same shape and size pretty much. Gonna take a nice little spoonful of our filling, and we're gonna plop that right down onto the side of our gyoza wrap. And then we are gonna take a little bit of water, and we are going to wet the entire rim of the gyoza wrapper, and that will help everything stick together and make a nice tight seal once we start folding. So once you've got the rim wet, you're going to fold it over in half and starting on one side, you're going to sort of crimp it inward and pinch it together and make a nice tight little seal. From here, we're gonna be creating pleats. So you're gonna push in with your thumb on your left hand and fold over with your right hand, thumb and finger. Push in with your thumb, fold it together, and just repeat that process 7 times across the top of this gyoza. And then once you get to the other end, you're going to once again push in the full inside and then crimp it nice and closed, making sure that you're stuck along the entire top. And then you're going to set that down and just sort of give it a little bit of a curl outward from the pleats. Set that aside and continue the process until you've used up all of your filling or made as many as you want to make. And we'll be right back to show you how to cook them. All right, welcome back to our gyoza episode. We are just about ready to start finishing these gyoza off by cooking them. We're going to add a little bit of green onion and pour our sauce the ginger's been soaking in, and get that ready for plating. And we've got this pan nice and hot, a little splash of oil down in there. And we're gonna place these gyoza, the flat side down, like the crimped side facing up. And as we place them, make sure that the oil's under them and make sure that they are touching each other in a nice straight line. All right, they are touching each end to end. And we're gonna give these about 1.5 minutes, 2-ish minutes to get a nice crisp golden colored bottom. And as soon as we start seeing that coloration coming through, we're gonna add a little bit of water and cover with a lid instantly and finish the cooking process with a steaming. So while we are waiting for that to happen, I'm gonna clear up this area just a little bit. We'll get our plate ready for them over here. We've got our dipping sauce. We'll throw a little bit of shredded cabbage down as sort of a bed for these gyoza to sit on. And we'll come over and give a check and see where the color is looking on these. Oh, it is just about there. And so the reason why you're gonna be wanting the gyoza all to be touching each other when you put them down in the frying pan, as soon as we hit it with the water and cover it with the lid and start to steam them, it's going to make all of the gyoza sort of stick together just slightly in the places where they're touching so that we can pull them all off and present them and they look nice, they're all in a row. You'll see what I'm talking about once we put them on the plate. So we've got a beautiful color, and here, I can show you. We're looking for that nice, golden, crispy. And so, be careful, there's a little bit of oil in this pan, so as soon as you splash some water in there, it's gonna start popping and bubbling. So a trick that I like to do is I like to put a little bit of that water into the lid of the pan, so that as soon as you put it in, you're already putting the lid on. There's no chance for that oil and hot water to splash up on you and hurt you. So now that it's in there on steam, we're just gonna let that go for a couple of minutes and it will be a beautiful, crispy on the bottom, chewy on the top, and just meaty filling gyoza. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Our gyoza has finished steaming. And so we're going to take a nice flexible spatula and we are going to get underneath those guys and just sort of slide, boom. We're gonna pull them all up at once and flip them over onto the plate. And that way, you've got this beautiful little line of gyoza, but that one just didn't want to stick. All right, there we go. And here you are, pork gyoza, pan fried, finished with the steam with our sweet and sour shoyu dipping sauce. This is a very, very popular Japanese dish. You'll find it pretty much any Japanese, even here in the States that you go to. It's super tasty, one of the most popular appetizers that you're gonna find in Japanese cuisine. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Itadakimasu, and I look forward to the next time around.